Across the Spider-Verse made us realize the variety of Spider-Man that exist, but also the variety of Spideys more useless than Cortana herself. Seriously, several of them just exist to exist. So in this video, we'll see the most useless versions of Spider-Man that exist across the Spider-Verse. Animal versions of Spider-Man are all adorable. Just look at this little kitty. But honestly, to fight against the evil and save us, it's gonna be a tough job for this kitty. Face it and tell me, does this cat stand a chance against the enormous Green Goblin from the Ultimate Universe? Or even against your drunk dad? Nope. The same goes for Spider Monkey, which is basically the same thing, but cheaper. Even though everyone is supposed to be monkeys in his universe, what good would it do in the human universe? Maybe have a smoke and sell some magic stuff? You know the reference. Also, it's supposed to be strong, but not smart? Because if so, it makes no sense at all. But undoubtedly, the most useless one is Spider-Trex. Yes, Spider-Trex. The others can at least be stealthy. But a dinosaur? What good can that do? Its tiny arms don't allow him to use his full potential, so he's not gonna be able to save as many people as a regular Spider-Man would. Also, does he even wear a suit? It seems to be just a dinosaur painted like Spider-Man. To be honest, no one would respect him as a hero, and with those little arms, it wouldn't be able to use its web. Now imagine a dinosaur climbing walls. Mary Dinosaur Jane wouldn't even want to kiss him. He's just useless. And now it's time for Spider Horse. Who the heck came up with a Spider Horse? It wouldn't even serve for transportation, because a motorcycle is faster, and you can even customize it to be ultra deluxe epic fantastic. Jesus, the more I see these Spider-Man, the less sense they make. The adorable versions of Spider-Man don't work either. Yes, they're even cuter than animals, but why are they more useless? Well, something even less helpful than an animal is a toy. Chibi Spider-Man or plush Spider-Man doesn't even have the strength to fight. One punch and he's flying away. He probably doesn't even have fingers. The same goes for Lego Spider-Man, but even worse, because it's barely the size of a peanut. Although that can be useful sometimes. Like if you got a plum seed stuck on your throat. The only good thing about this peanut is that it might almost be immortal, as Legos just stick and unstick. And then there are those that are not adorable at all, like Spidey Werewolf, which may have a very interesting backstory, but in the normal world, they couldn't be heroes. This Spider-Man is just like a werewolf, which would make him be wanted by the Scooby-Doo gang. We also have Doppelganger, who has almost never been good. He has always been treated as a villain. At first glance, he might seem like Carnage, but no! Doppelganger is just an evil twin of Spider-Man, who more than being useless, would probably eat the brains of his allies and anyone he's supposed to save. The heroine who looks like a villain. Cyborg Spider-Woman seems to be from the Mad Max universe. She's like a mix between Hulk and Spider-Man. And if Hulk already had a bad time being seen as a hero, imagine her! She's a strange mix of styles that makes her look like Frankenstein or Nemesis from Resident Evil. And that's why people couldn't see her as a hero, although mainly due to her appearance, but with a good change and a better costume, people might respect her more. And to the dismay of many, Spider-Punk has to be on the list. Because yes, Spider-Punk looks very cool and all, but think about it. Does it really make sense outside of his universe? In his world, the government is dictatorial and evil, so Punk is very relevant because they are against the rules. But in the normal world, Punk is already known for being a music genre, and it's not even that fashionable. So, an anarchist masked man sounds more like a villain, so hardly anyone would see him as a hero, and Spider-Punk would pass more as a troublemaker. This is one of the most controversial points, but it has to be here for being useless. And I'm talking about Byte, the cybernetic Spider-Man. And here is the complete opposite case of Cyborg Spider-Woman, because Byte at least can be respected for her super cool suit, but she's really useless, since she doesn't have powers outside her virtual world. Because yes, that's the joke with this character. In her universe, she enters as Byte to save the virtual world. But outside of it, she's as human as you and me. I can already imagine her facing the Green Goblin. Before fighting, she would ask to connect the computer for a 1v1. Come at me, bro! Come at me 1v1! One of the most out-of-date characters, it's Lady Spider, who has spider legs on her back, very similar to the Iron Spider suit. But what's the difference and why is she on this list? It's because these don't have advanced technology. They work with steam. And Lady Spider is made with that steampunk style, which looks good. But in the current world, it would be of very little use, and practically anyone could stop her. A college Spider-Man? There's a version where Flash Thompson became Spidey and took the name Captain Spider. But there are many things to say about this version. To start, he wears a college hoodie. And why not to wear the regular Spider-Man suit? So no one could take him seriously. And although you might think that maybe it's done to differentiate himself from the normal Spider-Man, you're wrong, because his mask is also different. Also, how can you be seen as a hero when you used to be a bully? I know Flash has had many changes and versions, but among all, this is the weirdest one. Now, we move on to those who can barely be taken seriously. And one would think that wearing the spider suit is enough. But no, even with that, they can't look like true heroes. We have, for example, Spider Cop, whose only joke is to be a policeman with a Spider-Man mask. And that's it! He may have the same powers as Peter Parker. And I say may, because he's so forgettable and strange that there's no important story about him. And I say, if you have powers and for some reason you decide to serve the police, at least give them an intimidating suit and not just a mask. And continuing with the Spideys who follow a very specific profession, there's the Spider Therapist, who listens to people's problems while wearing the red mask. And that's it, because he probably doesn't even use his Spider-Man powers, in case if he has them. Although he could be the perfect therapist for other Spider-Men from the multiverse. And the one who can't even help with that, it's the Office Spider-Man, who doesn't fit in the Spider-Verse. And no, it's not that he uses the office job as part of his secret identity. He directly just works in the office and wears a little office suit and everything. He just put on the mask and that's it. And now we have the out-of-shape Spidey. All the others could at least boast of having the necessary condition to fight for a while. But this Spider-Man from Earth X can barely walk a few blocks, and I don't judge him for that. But even his suit doesn't fit him. At least use something in your size, dude. Because with your belly out, I doubt anyone can take you seriously, and hardly anyone can see you as a true hero. And finally we have Sun Spider, who is an LGBT spider girl on a wheelchair. Now honestly, what do you think, guys? What in the world do you think a girl is gonna be able to do on a wheelchair? Oh god. And you, what do you think of all these versions of Spider-Man? Do you know any other versions even useless? Leave your answer in the comments.